Hello everyone, Phoenix61 here with your Skull and Bones shenanigans. So Season 4 is upon us, it is here. New season of Skull and Bones brings new weapons and stuff right off the bat, along with some more storyline. If you are just signing in for Season 4 now, you'll want to stop at William Blackwood that we were just by, and then between him and Skurlock, that's where you're going to start to see the new season storyline progression, right? So if you've been playing the game for a little bit, that's easy enough to do, so I won't do any sort of walkthrough
How's
on
that
how to
job coming
progress through
along?
story missions, because it's kind of self-explanatory. But first stop here is the bartender. So these are the new items that you can get right off the bat. One is a crew attack focused armor piece, right? And so you need sovereigns for these, right? So if you don't have enough sovereigns, you'll have to kind of do the grind that is collecting pieces of 8. We have other videos out there on that. Other thing is Agni's Fury. So this is kind of a new concept, right? It's technically a sea fire weapon, but it shoots darts. So it still uses the oil
I'm always
can,
looking
you
for
know, the
new
oil canisters or whatever as
ingredients.
the ammo.
What can I
But
try
it shoots
today?
like fiery darts that also do piercing. So that's kind of interesting. I'm going to play with that along with one other new weapon in this video just to kind of demo them and share my thoughts and feelings. New furniture pieces that are in here. There are also a couple new blueprints that you can get from the Sea People Huntmaster as well for monstrous teeth. So go check those out. Those would be another thing that you could get fairly early on as well. And then yes, she's going to have her rotating stock every 2 weeks for items that are going to be in here from either past seasons or whatever have you, right? So yeah, let's dive right into some combat with this new Seafire thing, right? So it's not the greatest. If you like Seafire weapons in general, I think you'll like this. If you dislike Seafire weapons, you may still dislike this, right? Like, I prefer it. It's a little bit. I feel like it's a little bit better. It's a little bit nicer, but I do feel like it's a little bit lacking damage, right? So I first tried it out on my Sam book, which I've got a sort of fire build done on the Sandbook, right? So fire weapons do better damage and reload faster, like that kind of thing. It didn't seem too great. It also, of course, doesn't do that great against structures, against buildings, right? Which I would think you would expect it not to, right? Like that kind of makes sense, right? But like it's cool, like it's definitely fun to use, which I would say the sea fire weapons are definitely fun to use. But am I gonna use it as like because it's valuable and powerful? Probably not. Like this is just my first impressions right now. Granted, I didn't build too much into it yet, but like I didn't equip every single armor or furniture piece that can buff Seafire guns. So like there's that too. So we did a takeover previously, and then this is the new boss fight, right? So there's a level 13 of it, and then there's also a level 16 of it. So I've only kind of toyed around with the sort of normal difficulty version, right? The level 13. And so there is maybe a little bit of value in it fighting him because he deploys these shield buoys that, and in reality, to fight this boss here, what you want to do is try and shoot these buoys before they generate a shield. I think that's what's happening here, right? So you can see all the buoys, and of course I'm not doing it in the video here because I was still like kind of figuring it out, but if you can shoot those buoys before, because you see now they've popped up barriers all over the place, right? So if you can destroy them before they generate the barriers, that's going to make life a lot easier. But here with this new Seafire gun, these barriers are weak to piercing. So there is a little bit of a benefit to, trying to break through these barriers. You can see we're only doing like 60 some or 180 or, like not that much damage to the barriers, to the shields that you see. But when we use the Seafire thing, it does piercing. You can see we're doing like 500 a pop there, right? So like there's some value in shooting these shields, but honestly, like any piercing weapon is going to give you a bonus to that, right? So, and then if you do progress far enough through the new story, right, the season 4 story, you'll get this Blightkeeper buoy launcher, which is a similar weapon but for you, right? So it's a shield buoy that you can send out there. I think, like, I'm not sure how I feel about this yet, right? I think that I'm also a little underwhelmed by it as well. I think maybe it maybe drains stamina for enemies if they're in it. But so we'll use this a little bit, right? So I switched to my battle junk here in this for the rest of the video here, and it's, you know, so I'm using piercing, you know, I'm using the electric long guns that you would have got from last season, right? And so those have piercing, you know, damage on them as well, and they wreck the shield, right? We're doing like 4,300 per, you know, shield hit too, right? So I don't know that the new Seafire weapon is that, you know, that much better, right? Like, so, like, I'm probably, you know, I'm gonna use it, I'm gonna play with it a little bit just to kind of get a feel for it and see if I can do a good build with it. But kind of my first impressions are it's cool, it's fun, but as far as like being a powerhouse of a weapon, I'm gonna say no to start out for now. We'll see. Or, you know, like, there's more furniture and stuff that, like, you could build into it a little bit better, and I think maybe that'll maybe help, but I have my doubts on whether it's going to be worth it as far as, like, if you want something that hits really heavy, right? So yeah, bring lots and lots of food items for stamina, because this new boss does have some attacks that are going to just drain the heck out of your stamina. I think that would be my big gripe. So yeah, so here we're launching one of these new shield buoys, right? And it's nice. You do have to watch out so you don't destroy it yourself. But you could see a couple of hits there where the boss shot this direction and it hit our shield thing. They don't last that long is probably my biggest gripe, right? So this, you know, there it goes. So, right, so it's like a few seconds, right? So my big gripe would be the duration of it, right? And then since I'm using my battle junk here, I have some piercing weapons built in. I have some buffs built into, like, the furniture and stuff for piercing weapons. So the Seafire, you know, Sea Fury or whatever, you know, it's doing a little bit better with those furniture buffs, but still nothing crazy great. The long guns that have piercing on them, those seem better overall regardless anyway, right? So, you know, like, yeah. But yeah, it's definitely fun. I'm definitely going to use it just to have fun with it. But as far as, like, if it's that great, like, I'm gonna say no, right? So, another big change that I noticed coming out here is the defense missions, right? So we'll play one of these for a little bit here. They, instead of fighting a faction, what's happening is you're going to be fighting the like a Spectral fleet, right? So it's like ghost ships. So you'll get a boss in here, right? So you'll get the Mangaden, yeah, however you say him, right? And then you're gonna have a bunch of, like, little mini versions of him, right, as the, like, fleet, you know, the waves that come through, right? So you'll get an extra. I don't think you have to kill him. I did kill him, but you'll get an extra chest. You'll get a treasure chest from killing him if you do, but I don't think you have to. And then for, like, completing the waves, like, for completing the defense, you don't lose. I don't think they have a negative effect anymore, right? So you don't lose production on that factory like you did in previous seasons when you would fail the defense. I think you just don't get rewards, right? So you'll still get a buff to your pieces of 8 production rate if you win. And then I think I got like 1,000 pieces of 8 just straight up for winning as well, right? So they were still worth doing. It did feel a little bit harder, right? I will give it that, right? So yeah, here I'm using this new Seafire gun, and, like, it's fun. It looks cool. I think it needs to, like, a little bit more sound to it, right? Like some sort of, like, you know, like, make me feel like I'm shooting a gun, a machine gun or something, right? But I think I did get a little bit of benefit from using the shield buoy weapon for the defense missions here, because you could drop it kind of right in front of your factory to help shield the factory from taking hits. So I think I got a little bit of a benefit from that, but otherwise I don't. I have my doubts about the shield buoy weapon as well. There is another. There's a new mortar also There's a new mortar, there's a new torpedoes, right? There's, yeah, that you can get from the smuggler's pass. I've unlocked one of each of those, and I haven't had time to play with them yet, right? So there's a new torpedo launcher. We'll play with that and see, if I like it, or if I, can come up with a good build to do for it. I'll put a video out on that. And then there's a new mortar launcher as well that does electric damage. I think that I might like that, so I'm gonna probably play with that first and just see how that goes. But yeah, these defend missions. So we're using the new shield buoy launcher that you'll get from. So to get the blueprint for this, you got to progress through the season 4 story stuff that just came out. And then you do need some of the new, like, I forget what they're called, but like it's a new currency, right? So I did have to go and fight the new season 4 boss a few times, and then as you progress through the story, you get some of that currency, right? Or material, whatever it is, right? So you need some of those to craft the weapon once you do unlock the blueprint, right? So there is value in just, even as you're progressing through the new season 4 story, if for example, somebody does call for help for the boss, like, go help them out, because you're going to need the materials that drop from the boss fight in order to craft the weapon. Like, if you're interested, right? Like, my opinion on it here is it's not a must-have right away, so you could take your time, right? Like, I'm gonna go get it, see what it's like, so we can put a video out on there and tell people kind of how I feel about it. But yeah, so those are the couple of new things I wanted to get, since it's day 1 of the season, right? I wanted to get a video out, say hello everybody, for, happy season 4. Here's the couple of new things that you can play around with right off the bat, right, to get yourself started right in season 4. But yeah, that's going to be our video for the day. I'm going to play a little bit more of this defend mission, but I won't go through the whole thing. Like I said, it's still worth doing these. You'll still get, if you can beat the boss, you'll get an extra treasure chest, and then at the end you'll get, I think it was like 1,000 pieces of 8 or something, right? Which early on in the season, like, that's really nice to have, but like later I may not care, right? So, yeah, but you do you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you are following the channel. I will continue to do Skull and Bones content as long as there's new and exciting things coming out. I typically do things whenever I come up with cool build ideas. We've got advice on pieces of 8 farming, like all that sort of fun stuff. So check out the link in the description for my playlist for Skull and Bones stuff. And then if you are already subscribed, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. And we will see you guys next time.